Hey guys, welcome back to NREVU, the show where I review TV shows, documentaries, current events, trending topics, and more. Today I'm making a follow-up video to my Monique video. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of the new developments that have come out, some of the things that Monique has said, and also some of the people that have come out to support her. Now, one of the things that I want to say to you guys is thank you so much for your respectful comments on my last video. We really got into a dialogue. We got to talk a lot about these issues from a business and economic perspective, and I think this is what is beneficial about these very public examples. If we're not learning, if it's just tearing people down and dragging people and being mean, I don't think that's really beneficial, and I wouldn't really want to get in on that. But because I think this is a really good lesson in terms of business and market value and marketability and all those things, that's why I really think it's so important for us to discuss. So thank you so much. And speaking of my comments, it was a comment that really inspired me to go back and rewatch Monique's interview with Sway to see, just try to look at it from a different perspective, see what she may have been talking about and maybe look at things from a different angle. Now, in the midst of me doing this, I saw another video that Monique and her husband distributed on their Instagram page where they're now talking about Amy Schumer's last movie and comparing her last movie to Amy Schumer's last movie and all of that stuff. So now it's kind of taken a little bit of a turn. It's kind of pushed a little bit further, and it's become a bigger issue. But first, I want to talk about the interview Monique did with Sway. There were three things that really stood out to me. The first was what the Netflix representative told Monique and her husband, specifically her husband, who's also her manager. Now, what they said was they give offers based on anticipation, and Monique claims that they also said they don't do it off of resume. I don't have the letter, so I can't say what the letter said, but if they said that, that was an incorrect statement. They should have said they don't do it just off resume. It's resume and anticipation. And what they were really trying to say in a nice way is they were trying to speak to Monique's relevancy right now. And I said this in the last video. They're making offers based on how much relevancy, how much popularity you have today. So it's not really based on yesteryear. It's not based on 10 years ago. It's based on now. How many people are going to tune in now to see a comedy special? And so they came up with a number to start at, which was $500,000. Now, the next thing I want to say is that Monique said from $500,000, her husband came back with $10 million, and they said their numbers were too far off and that they weren't going to continue negotiations even further. Now, $500,000 was too low. I said that in my first video. I don't think she should have accepted a $500,000 offer. But to come back with $10 million just seems unreasonable. If you're going to come back, you got to come back within a reasonable range. Now, I think she could have came back at $5 million, and I think they could have negotiated from there. If you consider Amy Schumer, she started off at 10 and got $3 million more. So I don't think there's any reason why Monique wouldn't have gotten a $3 to $5 million deal. In my last video, I said I would think she would get a minimum of $1.5 million as a starting offer. That's minimum. That's not me saying that's the max she can get. That's me saying minimum. So I think she could have gotten up to $5 million if she negotiated it. But it seemed like she was so offended by the $500,000 starting point that kind of clouded the negotiations to where she was more trying to make a point than she was to actually try to make a deal. And from there, the negotiations went sour. Another thing she kept bringing up, and another thing that I do want to point out is, she said, who do you know who has had a ride like Martin Lawrence? And so I wanted to check, because I've just been living. I haven't been following Martin Lawrence's career play by play. I haven't been following her career play by play. You see them come up, they're entertaining, they're funny, and you go about your business. So I looked at their IMDb pages, and that's actually what I'm using to reference for a lot of these discussions, a lot of these points I'm making. And when you look at Martin Lawrence's career, there's simply no comparison in terms of him and Monique. Let's look at Monique compared to Martin Lawrence. Martin Lawrence hasn't worked that much recently, but if we look at his length of his career, because that's what Monique cites, she says who had a run like Martin Lawrence, so she's looking at his whole career, he's definitely had box office successes. Bad Boys, National Security, Big Mama's House, these were box office successes, okay? And Martin Lawrence has usually been the lead in those roles. He's been executive producer over Big Mama's House, executive producer over Big Mama's House 2, so he's produced a lot of his projects as well. We go back to Monique, we see she does have a lot of credits to her name. If we go to producer, she produced Interwoven, Blackbird, her own show, Flavor of Love Girls Charm School, Fat Girls, and Monique's Fat Chance. Okay, no, he has not worked recently in the last few years, but he's also not making claims against a streaming service right now. He has had box office successes where he has been the lead. Monique has not. The last movie she was in was Almost Christmas, and she was not the lead in that film. She was part of an ensemble cast. I want to show you the video that Monique made with her husband first, and then I'm going to tell you guys what I think.
Hey, my loves, it's Monique and Sydney. And we've been hearing a lot of conversation in reference to bankability, so we thought we'd do a little fact checking. We got some information from Box Office Mojo.
In 2017, Amy Schumer did a film called Snatched. That film made $45 million domestically. In 2016, I did a film called Almost Christmas. That film made $42 million domestically. Amy Schumer's budget for Snatched was $42 million, and it made $45 million. And it was in how many theaters?
3,511.
That's a $3 million profit. Almost Christmas budget was $17 million, and it made $42 million. That's a $25 million profit. And how many theaters was it in?
2,379.
Could somebody please make it make sense?
And can you see the disparity in that number and what bankability really is?
And you can see that she's comparing Amy Schumer's last movie, which was Snatched with Goldie Hawn, to her last movie, which was Almost Christmas. Now, this is not a good comparison. Why? Because Amy Schumer negotiated her deal with Netflix before Snatched was even released in theaters. So the negotiations that Amy Schumer did with Netflix for her deal weren't based on the Snatched numbers. They were based on the Trainwreck numbers, which was Amy Schumer's breakout success, as well as the other work she was doing at the time in comedy. Trainwreck, if you remember, was a movie written by Amy Schumer in which Amy Schumer played one of the principal comedic roles, and that movie made $50 million domestically. So that is what she was negotiating off of, not Snatched. Snatched came later.
All right, so let's look at Snatched. Snatched was premiered on May 2nd, 2017, and it was released May 12th, 2017, okay? Schumer's Leather Special, which is a Netflix special that she got $13 million for, it was released March 7th, 2017. So all the negotiations, everything that she had done happened before it was released, right? And Snatched was released months later in May. So her salary negotiations for the Leather Special weren't dependent on Snatched at all. They were dependent on her history, which included Trainwreck, which was her breakout film. This film grossed $110 million in North America, and this film was actually written by Amy Schumer. And of course, she starred in it as one of the principal comedic actresses, okay? So let's, again, just repeat. Snatched was released May 12th, 2017. The Leather Special was released March 7th, 2017. So Snatched is not considered at all into this. So we have to compare Trainwreck, her most recent box office success at the time the negotiation was made, to Almost Christmas, which was Monique's most recent box office success. Trainwreck grossed $110 million in North America. It was written by Amy Schumer herself, and she starred as one of the principal actors in it alongside her love interest in the movie. Almost Christmas was premiered in November 3rd, 2016, and it was released November 11th, 2016, and it grossed $42 million. Monique was a part of an ensemble cast, including Kimberly Elise, Danny Glover, and Gabrielle Union, and also Nicole Ari Parker, which are also very recognizable names.
She wasn't one of the main characters in the movie. So it's hard to attribute the success of the movie simply to her. You had Danny Glover, you had Kimberly Elise, you had other famous names, prominent faces in the movie, and it easily could have been that they drew people to the movie. She would need to compare the success Amy Schumer had before her deal was negotiated to the success Monique had now up until the $500,000 offer. Again, I just want to reiterate, $500,000 should not have been accepted, but I think she could have negotiated from there. Another person whose name has come up in this kind of conversation has been D. Davis. D. Davis commented under one of Monique's pictures and said that he was offered $5 million. And many people were like, oh my gosh, D. Davis, how did he get $5 million? You go on his IMDb page, you'll kind of get a reason, kind of get an indication why he got $5 million. This man has been working consistently in comedy since 2004. I think on his IMDb page, he's had like at least 3 movies that he's been in per year since 2004, okay, in the comedy field. Now, have all these movies been box office successes? No. Have all these movies been breakout successes? No. But I think the consistency of his record, the amount of times he's appeared to the popular public, has worked in his favor. Also, he's been a host on shows on networks like MTV, which are more marketable to a younger fan base, so his face is recognizable to them, which they're probably thinking about it from that perspective. He's hosted the show, he's been funny on the show, people like him, people know his face, and so he can draw in a crowd with our younger audience here on Netflix. As Monique has taken a little bit of a hiatus. Her last big movie project was Precious in 2009, and since 2009, her only comedic project in terms of a box office success has been Almost Christmas. So again, she hasn't been able to justify that $10 million. And like I said, I think she could have gotten $5 million. I think she maybe even could have pushed it more than D. Davis based on her experience. She could have pushed it and got even more. But to get $10 million, I think, was a little bit of a stretch, given the fact that she just hasn't had that box office success on her own. But something else that someone else pointed out was that she could have negotiated another type of deal. She could have said $500,000 just doesn't work for us, but can we negotiate to $1 million and then get a percentage off the back end? Thank you to one of my commenters that made that point. made the point that, you know, she could have negotiated something different. She could have offered to produce it herself. She believes in the project, obviously, believes in her ability to make it a success. She could have enlisted people like Jada Pinkett Smith, that is now speaking on her behalf, and other people that are now rallying behind her. She could have enlisted them to produce the comedy special with her, and then they bring it to Netflix as a package deal and negotiate something there. That was also an option. So there were many other options that could have been negotiated. I think her disgust with the initial starting offer, her disgust with the $500,000 really is just what made her say she didn't care what happened from there. Monique says in the Sway interview that she's consistently been asked to work for free, meaning for a very low wage, really. Like in Precious, she got $50,000. Almost Christmas, she said all the actors total got less than $1 million, like total, which was kind of shocking. And she says, I've always been asked to do things for free, and I've done them as favors, and I've done them with people making, you know, commitments to me. And one thing I would say is that, you know, when you do favors like that, you have to expect that they won't be honored. I know that sounds really bad, but you almost have to. It's just like lending money to people. You don't lend money if you need it back. You don't lend your rent money to your friend. Like, you just don't do that. You don't give money away unless you're prepared not to give it back, because life happens. You know, she mentions the director, producer of Almost Christmas. He said that they were going to do a TV series and a 3-movie deal and all this. I don't even know where he's at. He could be down in the gutter somewhere. He could be homeless on the street, like struggling to come up with any money, and he may not have the opportunity to give her. It may be to where when he gets the opportunity, he'll give her one, but right now he's struggling too. Or it could be that he just flaked on his deal. Whatever it may be, you have to be prepared for that. She never spoke out against these directors and producers who only paid her pennies based on what, compared to what Netflix is trying to pay her. She never spoke out against them. Yes, she is a legend, but how many legends right now are getting the same thing they were getting at the height of their career? Not many. If it was me, I would tell Monique, get into the social media game, build your relevancy. When I looked up DeRay Davis, do you know he has almost twice the amount of Instagram followers as Monique? This legend, this person that's supposed to be widely known, he has almost twice the amount of followers as her on Instagram. That's unacceptable. Things like that factor in today. Things like that definitely factor in. So anyway, that's my opinion, follow-up video on the Monique situation. Let me know, do you think DeRay Davis's offer changes things? Do you think that Monique definitely has a point now that everything has been presented and she's making these comparisons? What do you think? Leave your comment below. I look forward to hearing from you guys. Thank you so much.